Are you overwhelmed by the challenge of personalizing communication for thousands of students? That's where Element 451's AI assistants come in. From nudging prospective students to guiding those already on their journey, AI assistants don't just automate. They write, build, and optimize every step of your digital campaigns. Discover how at element451.com/AI team.
If we're not using AI to personalize and find efficiencies and make better data-driven decisions, particularly around student recruitment, I think that this gap between those who have and those who have not is going to get really wide really fast.
Hit it! That's what I'm talking about. Wait!
Okay, now, from the beginning.
Hit it, boys.
Welcome to Higher Ed Pulse, your Monday morning energizer covering insights and trends in higher ed marketing and enrollment. I'm Mallory Wilsey, bringing over 15 years of edtech and marketing expertise to your earbuds.
And I'm Seth Odell, joining the Pulse with my own adventures from leading marketing at top universities to founding Kanahoma, one of the industry's fastest growing digital marketing agencies.
Each week, we bring you the kind of insider insights you typically only find over cocktails with your pals at a conference.
It's fast, it's fun, and it's designed for you, the busy higher ed professional.
You're not just listening to another podcast.
You're checking the pulse of higher education.
Higher Ed Pulse is part of the Enrollify Network, a robust collection of podcasts designed to help higher ed professionals like you grow. Explore our other shows at enrollify.org. Enrollify is made possible by Element 451, the next generation AI student engagement platform, helping institutions create meaningful and personalized interactions with students. Learn more at element451.com.
So, Seth, I think one of my favorite things sometimes about us is that we both have lived in the same places, but at completely different times in our life.
Never at the same time, right?
Yeah. So we can sit here and talk about, the Albany area, Saratoga, or we can sit here and be like, Los Angeles, blah, blah.
Yep.
But we never lined up our actual residency.
We have never been in sync with it. Do you miss LA sometimes?
I actually really do. Okay, look, I thought my ticket to getting out of the snow was marrying somebody from California. And I'm not saying that's the only reason we're no, I'm kidding. But it was just a really beautiful, almost 10 years there. I felt like I've never been healthier. All of that vitamin D from the sun, not having to think about the weather. I mean, sure, traffic is a pain. Cost of living is high. It comes with the sun tax, but I feel like I found myself when I was living in Los Angeles and just kind of embraced finally I can be who I am and whatever to everyone else. I don't know, something about LA makes you just feel really empowered about who you are if you let it. So I do miss it. You're still in SoCal, but
I'm in San Diego, so I get a lot of the benefits of LA without the traffic, but I miss everywhere I've lived, right? I've lived in New Hampshire and in Utah and obviously in Albany. I'm always a little nostalgic for where I've been and always appreciate a town. So I still miss West LA sometimes, but I am very, very happy in San Diego. I think I've landed in the right spot.
Yeah, I'll say I look back and also will feel nostalgic, but at the same time, whenever anyone asks me if I miss LA, usually the next thing I say is, but I know being in Saratoga right now, I know where I'm supposed to be right now.
Yeah.
And it might be for the next 5 years, it might be for the next 10 years, 20 years, who knows? But I've always felt like I've lived in the place where I should be for each stage of my life, which has just been interesting.
That's an awesome feeling. I feel like that too, except I had one chapter when I was living in Southern New Hampshire where I'd moved back to LA and I was commuting to New Hampshire. I was literally flying every other week. Yeah, I didn't feel I was in the right place then. That was terrible. But outside of that, I actually agree with you. I felt like I've been in the right place and have enjoyed where I've lived.
Oh, that's amazing. All right.
Yeah.
Well, here we are. We're going to be chatting about AI and student recruitment today. And, so actually I saw, Seth, a really interesting article. This was a couple weeks ago now, but Inside Higher Ed published their third annual survey of campus chief tech officers. And a couple of the things that came out of that article, first of all, was this sense of campuses still being unprepared for AI. Only 9% of CTOs in that survey believe that higher ed's actually ready for the rise of generative AI.
Yeah, that feels right.
Yeah. And then another good stat is around enthusiasm versus priorities. So while 46% of the CTOs who responded are excited about AI's potential, only 23% of them consider investing in AI as a high priority. And so there's definitely a disconnect there.
That's interesting. Yeah.
And when you kind of dig into where they are investing, it is very skewed towards chatbots, which that's like first gen AI tech. Like we're so far past a chatbot now, but that is where like 50% of CTOs are still emphasizing their investment. So grounding ourselves in that data.
Yeah.
Let's talk about AI as it impacts student recruitment, because we're in the thick of it right now, right? Like it's the end of October. And we're, if we're not using AI to personalize and find efficiencies and make better data-driven decisions, particularly around student recruitment, like I think that this gap between those who have and those who have not is going to get really wide really fast.
Yeah, I'm super excited. Of all the areas of AI, this is one that I'm most interested in, but it's also one of the ones that I think is still taking shape. And so like, I'm ready to unpack this a little bit. Let's talk about like, where is it already impacting recruitment? Like, where could it? So I'm excited for the conversation.
Yeah. All right. Well, I just mentioned a few kind of ways that AI can solve some challenges. So maybe we could take each one in turn and kind of unpack that. Sound good?
Love it. Let's go.
So let's start with personalizing student recruitment, because I think that this is the one that is maybe most obvious, right? Like, of course, AI can help us move away from like this era of mass marketing into micro-targeting, and it gives us the ability to deliver more personalized content to students in a variety of different ways, right? It's whether that's generative AI and using it to create just as simple as like different email variations for different populations, all the way to that next gen chatbot, which is the AI assistant, or even past that, the AI agent.
Yeah, I'm ready to unpack all of it. And I think there's so much that can be done in this space and some that's already being done. So like, this is just, I think, area of huge potential impact.
Well, what examples have you seen out there?
So there's a few in the shortest, I'll say like, I think a lot about it in the world that I'm doing. And so from the market perspective, like marketing perspective of market student recruitment, there's a couple of basic things. We're using ChatGPT really almost every day for competitor analysis. It is just so much faster than manually going through Google. And so like you can ask really great questions. But one of the more interesting ones that I've just started like literally this week, so I love this topic, was with OpenAI's 01 or 01, I guess whatever you call the new iteration for ChatGPT Plus. If you're a ChatGPT Plus user like I am, you can use it for data analysis. So I actually have been downloading and uploading iPad's data into ChatGPT. And so you can start to ask the questions that are sometimes hard to find in iPad's data, like compared to this institution, like who are the biggest competitors by program? Here's an institution's name, what programs are growing or shrinking. So like you can actually use ChatGPT to do analysis on iPad's data in a way that is way faster than an original analyst. I will say I'm still a little cautious on the results. I'm double checking a lot of stuff. But when it comes to like first iteration of like what's actually happening in the marketplace, from a market assessment perspective, it's been huge. The other area I'll say is like from creative development side, like obviously student recruitment requires a lot of assets and materials. We use ChatGPT for headline iteration, expanded ad copy. We have not launched because there's some legal questions we have, but like Grok 2 does really interesting original imagery that's like really high quality. And there is a great platform called Ars Technica that does image expansion. So like if you've ever had someone take a photo and you want to use it for like a really thin, wide display ad, or even like a large cover image for like a paid social platform, you can use Ars Technica to stretch imagery essentially. And so all of a sudden, like almost any photo you have that you like can be sized appropriately pretty much instantly. And that was a real limitation for us in the past. We produce a lot of creative assets. And so all the time we'd be like, that's a great image, but it's not wide enough for us to use for like really specific dimensions. And suddenly like that problem has like totally gone away. So just a couple on like the higher level marketing side that I think really rise to like being interesting applications.
Nice. And I think when we drill it down to actually communicating with individual students, this is where those AI assistants start to come into play.
Totally.
And so if like the first phase was to create these bots, right, that are reactive, the next phase, and it's coming fast, is going to create bots that actually come to you and take action on your behalf and bring insights and expertise. So I think the like clear use case here is driving students to like apply or finish their application. So imagine having like that proactive bot that doesn't wait for the user to decide to contact them in order to conduct that action, but actually is able to like act on its own without any prompting, right? You kind of set it and forget it. When a student hits maybe this point of their application and you realize that is where a lot of stop outs happen, you can set up a proactive agent to actually do the outreach on your behalf. And then that leads us into like an earlier point around staff efficiency, right? Like it just kind of takes it completely out of the mind of that admissions counselor to have to follow up.
Well, see, we talk a lot about personalization in student recruitment and its impact, but so much of that historically has been manual. And so even like when we build out different like communication segments in a nurture series, we're like, okay, well, let's segment by area of study or by degree level. But you could essentially, this is limitless because what we've relied on in the past has been we need to get them to a person, and that person can then look at their CRM file and provide totally personalized engagement. And that's essentially has the potential to be fully automated right now, which is extremely exciting, especially when you think about the data that you can put in. So not just data from like their engagement on just a core website, but like the more information you get as far as their overall interests, as well as their objections, and their motivations. So like as we learn that a student is maybe concerned about being able to afford school, or a student's concerned about being able to fit it in with their work schedule, like all of that can suddenly be tailored and customized in a way that historically we've relied on an actual person to be able to do that analysis. Yeah, now it's real time and it can totally be personalized. To me, that is like a very, very impactful evolution of the tech that is, I think, really exciting when you think about the application.
Yeah, and we know staff shortages are still very real. And so anything we can do to free up the human team to focus on the higher touch and more strategic work, that really makes a difference for students versus being like a button pusher, like, oh, I have to remind a student today to go finish this application. Like, that just becomes so much more valuable. And then I think another big challenge on campuses too is like with all the staff turnover, it's the lack of training. And we were talking about this in a recent episode, but like the person who's maybe updating the website is not exactly your FAFSA expert, right? And so like, so does everybody on campus need to be a financial aid expert? No, absolutely not. Like this is where the AI assistants, especially a proactive one, can like step in. They learn and deploy the new information instantly at scale with no downtime when the student needs it, even if that's 10 o'clock on a Saturday night. So it just makes it a lot more easier for a school to stay like really agile and like as all of these things, and FAFSA is just such a great example because of all the challenges with it over the last year or so. Like, more information is coming out faster than anybody can really process.
Hey, it's Seth. Element 451 is hosting the AI Engage Summit on October 29th and 30th. This free virtual event features many of your favorite Enrollify creators and will explore AI's impact on student engagement, enrollment marketing, and institutional success. Learn to tap into AI to automate personalized outreach, improve your emails, streamline content creation, and boost campaign performance. Plus, hear directly from current students on how AI is influencing their engagement and campus life. Don't miss my opening keynote, State of the State, a candid look at where we are and where we need to go. The AI Engage Summit is your guide to understanding and applying AI at your school. Registration is free. Visit element451.com to save your spot. Now, back to the show.
Yeah, I totally agree. And like one really like narrowed specific application I'm excited about is the world of application submit to application complete. And so like a student submits their application and they think they're ready for, review and potential admission. But like we all know that the reality is that it has to be reviewed, and oftentimes there's supplemental materials that are required. There has been technology already in recent years that can do a level of application review, but then pairing that with this outreach means that not only can you do the review, but when you realize materials are missing or materials are needed, the communication can be instantaneous on what's the next step to complete that. And there are still many institutions that are doing manual application review entirely with no technology support. But I was at a conference last week, and it was 2 weeks ago in Denver, P3 EDU, about public-private partnerships. And there was a woman there talking about using AI for initial application review. And just that alone was a huge time saver, because what it meant was that her team was allowed to only focus on outreach where items were needed. So, someday we're going to get to this larger, like fully automated, like outreach opportunity with agents. But even in the interim, what it means is it can make sure that your team is doing the things that they need to do, which is direct outreach, versus the actual manual review, which can potentially be done by technology. So like even as we work our way to that fully AI agent model that I think at some point for sure is coming in the admission space, there's still plenty of efficiencies and opportunities in the interim just to free up your team's time to focus on the areas where they can have the biggest impact.
Yeah. Texas State Tech College is actually a great example. And if listeners might recall when we did our picks for our winners in higher ed, I actually called Michael Bettersworth, their CMO, out as one of my picks. And like the numbers have started to come in, and at Texas State Tech, like for their summer and their fall semesters, the application count rose by 30%. Their conversion rates from application start to submission went from 25% to nearly 90%. Whoa. And all of that means their cost that they spent per submitted application went from $424 down to just $81. And this is like, what an increase in efficiency in their marketing spend, right? And they have AI to thank for quite a bit of that.
Yeah, that's incredible. I think the other area that sometimes people miss is when we think about student recruitment and the role of AI, it can also impact our offering itself. So when I was at that same conference a couple weeks ago, I was talking to a chancellor of a large university system. I won't say who, because I'm not sure what he shared is totally public or not. It may be. And if it is, I'll put it on LinkedIn. But he basically shared that they were able to use AI to reduce the cost of delivery of their MBA program. Ooh. And what that meant was they were able to go offer their MBA internationally for literally like $5,000 for the degree. And it was really incredible. So what it meant was they were able to go into an international market and meet the price sensitivity of the market, and that they're growing already internationally. That to me was a real mind-blowing component, because I hadn't thought about AI's role in reducing the cost of delivery. And if we can reduce the cost of delivery, we can reduce the sticker price. And if we reduce the sticker price, we open up a much larger addressable market, which is much easier to recruit for. So for us in marketing, it's also like what can be done with AI that can give us essentially better value propositions, like better price or better pace. We can market a program that is delivered in a more efficient fashion. That one really blew my mind when he was telling me that at the reception of the conference. I was like, whoa, back up and tell me that again. And it was already happening. It's in market right now. It's like, this is not like this is going to happen someday. I was just totally shocked. I think I keep being shocked when it comes to AI and student recruitment in general, because we think about things in the future and then we realize, oh no, there's actually examples of it in the present already playing out.
Right. Something that I'm very excited for is all of the voice features and how that's going to transform the AI assistants into more conversational agents that can do those voice-driven interactions with students in real time. And I think when we look at some of the underserved student populations, this is going to be really critical because a first-gen student is going to have a lot of questions and might need more hand-holding through more complicated processes like a financial aid application. I keep going back to that, but it's such a clear example. And that's the type of student that might be more likely to need that support during the off hours. And so if they're calling in to ask about financial aid at 10 o'clock at night, that AI assistant, that voice-driven AI assistant can engage in the real human-like conversation.
And one of the very nuanced, interesting questions is, whose voice is it? There is actually an opportunity to clone your best people. So that chancellor I mentioned, they're actually building avatars, and they've already done voice clones of their faculty faculty. And so they record their faculty, then they upload it into a platform, and they're creating basically AI avatars of their faculty. So it's not just like some voiceless robot speaking. You can literally take your very best admissions reps and say, what if this rep could speak to everyone? This is the best person we have. And you actually can clone them. So I had not thought about the fact of like whose voice is it? And when I realized it can be the voice of the best people already within your organization, that was another like aha for me of like, oh my gosh, like your team of like, whether it's 10 or 100 admissions reps could suddenly be 100 of the very same of the best person.
Yeah.
That was like a mind-blowing realization for me.
Yeah, I love it. Well, we are towards the end of this episode, and I would be remiss if I didn't call out a couple really great resources for those who are listening and saying, hey, maybe I am still, like those campus CTOs feeling a bit unprepared for AI. Element 451 has an incredible AI learning center with a number of amazing resources. The most recent addition to that AI learning center happens to be a white paper from Jeff Salingo on navigating change in the age of AI in higher ed. And he created that specifically for us. So I will drop a link to the Learning Center in our show notes. But hey, tomorrow, Seth, is the AI Engage Summit. You're our opening keynote. I mean, this feels like...
And I am ready.
Oh, yeah. So unlike 2 weeks ago.
I am ready, and I hope... Exactly. Things have changed, and I have prepared, and I'm bringing it. But is there still time for folks to sign up if they're hearing this right when we drop this?
Absolutely. I mean, in fact, people can sign up right up until your keynote starts. So there are more than 1,000 people who are going to be attending the AI Engage Summit. So you do not want to miss out. If you are not one of those 1,000 people, come and sign up.
No, you don't. And I will say, Mallory, it's important to note that we are back to 20 minutes for our 15-minute episode. I know, but if you're watching the clock, what can we do? You know what? It is what it is. I'm still happy with the content, but we're coming right up on the 20-minute mark.
And here we are. All right. Well, it was so good to see you today, Seth, and I'll see you tomorrow for the AI Engage Summit. Hopefully, listeners, I'll see you tomorrow, too. We're looking forward to it. Have a great one. Bye-bye.
The Higher Ed Pulse is part of the Enrollify podcast network. If you like this podcast, chances are you'll like other Enrollify shows too. Our podcast network is growing by the month, and we've got a plethora of marketing, enrollment, and higher ed technology shows that are jam-packed with stories, ideas, and frameworks, all designed to empower you to be a better higher ed professional. Our show helps higher ed marketers and admission pros find their next big idea and features a selection of the industry's best as your hosts. Learn from Brian Gross, Eddie Francis, Jenny Lee Fowler, and so many of your favorite leaders in higher ed. Enrollify is made possible by Element 451, the next generation AI student engagement platform, helping institutions create meaningful and personalized interactions with students. Learn more at element451.com.